Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So behind me, we get to take a look at the all-new 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 AT4X. This model is finished off in cayenne red with an MSRP just over $76,000. And we're going to start off with what powers this Sierra. Underneath the hood is the 6.2 liter V8 paired to the 10-speed automatic transmission. This pumps out 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent to the rear wheels with the AT4X package. This also has the four-wheel drive system. This weighs in right around 5,800 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds with a top speed of 100 miles an hour. And it has a fuel capacity of 24 gallons. You'll expect to see around 14 miles per gallon in the city and 18 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 147.5 inches. Its overall length is 232.8. It has a width of 81.2. A height of 78.7. Its ground clearance measures in at 10.7 inches, and it also has an approach angle of 25.4 degrees, a breakover angle of 22.7, and a departure angle of 25.9 degrees. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this all-new Sierra AT4X, let's start off with the massive grille. This model here is finished off in a dark brush trim, which gives it a really nice look. GMC is spelled out right in the middle. It even has a forward-facing camera to provide this truck with a lot more visibility in parking lot situations and even off-road. And there's plenty of cutouts to provide a lot of cooling to that engine. Now in the lower section of the body-colored bumper is all the parking sensors, and this even has LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. I love how the DRL surrounds the entire housing, and it even splits off for this lower section, running in line with that line for the middle section of the front end. This even has LED fog lights down in the lower section. Both of the tow hooks are finished off in red. There's more gloss black surrounding all of that trim in the lower section. And then the hood has some very nice lines running down it with some indentions just to give it more of an aggressive design, along with the indentions in the upper section of that grille. So it gives it a great look. Now as we move on to the side, being the AT4X, this has some off-road goodies. We have these smaller wheels. So these are 18-inch wheels finished off in gloss black, wrapped in a 33-inch Wrangler all-terrain tire. This also has a 2-inch lift kit with the Multimatic suspension, so this provides this truck with about 10 inches of travel up front and just over 10.5 inches for the rear travel. It also gets a set of rock sliders, so if you do happen to take this off the pavement, it's going to give the underside of the truck a lot of protection, especially for that breakover angle. We have the 6.2 liter badge on the side, even more gloss black on the mirrors. There is a camera underneath them as part of that 3D camera system. This has a sunroof up top. All of the window trim is blacked out just to match nicely, and there's great lines that run down the side. Now the fender flares are finished off in that plastic trim, but it gives it a great design. And then as we move on to the rear end now, GMC is right in the middle of the tailgate. This has a backup camera. Sierra is in the lower section. Really nice lines running just underneath that. All of the parking sensors are in the body colored bumper. This can even tow right around 9,600 pounds. And as you can tell, there is a step on each side of the bumper just to make it more helpful to enter and exit this bed, along with a grab handle that's nicely placed right in the side rail. Now, as we move on to this multiflex tailgate now, there's two buttons up top that you can push on. If I push on the upper button, that will release the top section of the tailgate. So if you have some longer items, but you still want the entire tailgate up, not only can you have this down, you can also flip up the backing. So now you technically have a tailgate with a back here, so you can put in some longer items if you need to. And this piece also acts as a step. So when I lower the rest of the tailgate, which you can do also using the key fob, if I push on that top button again, it will release that. And now we have a step to enter and exit this bed. It is so convenient to have this. I've been using this truck for some wood and other projects, and it makes it so much easier to get in and out of this bed, along with the grab handle that you can lock into place over on that driver's side. So if you're using this as a work truck and you're getting in and out of the bed multiple times a day, definitely handy to have. This GMC also has the Kicker audio sound system where you can pair this with your phone via Bluetooth and listen to music on the tailgate. You can even charge electronics too. Definitely awesome to have that. If you're camping, dirt biking, whatever you're doing hanging out behind this truck, you have some music, which is pretty cool. And then for this bed, it has the spray and bed liner, so it's going to give you added protection. There's tie-down hooks in all of the corners, along with the dome lights too. You can get another look at the camera just underneath the third brake light. So you can have that view to monitor anything that you have in the bed. And as you saw, super easy to get in and out. And then we can quickly collapse everything. It does take 2 hands in order to close this part up. And with that closed, the tailgate is pretty lightweight, so it makes it easy to close with one hand. And before we make our way to the interior, this truck does have remote start. So as I mentioned earlier, you can also deploy the tailgate, but if I lock the truck and double tap on this button, it will automatically start up, which is a pretty cool feature to have. Now you can't double tap this to shut the vehicle off. So you do have to go inside to it in order to shut it off. And with it shut off, I have the truck unlocked so we can work our way to these back seats. Now the door panel has a really nice design to it. There's leather and red stitching along with the white stitching running right through the middle. The trim surrounding the window control is matte black. There's some brush trim on the release handle and surrounding that too. This even has the Bose audio sound system and plenty of storage in the lower section of the door. Now, as we make our way to the interior, these seats have a great design to them with all the white piping, the black leather. There's even red stitching on this insert. This is also a movable piece. So with this grab handle, I can open this up where there's hidden storage space behind the end seats on each side. Very practical to have that, along with being able to flip up the bottom of the seat. So all I need to do is that it will lock itself into place. And as you can tell, there's a little bit of storage space. This has been very helpful for groceries. I've been able to put a lot of items there and not have them roll around. I can leave the seat up if there's some taller items, which is great to have. And then you have the rest of this area where there's the all-weather floor mat and a little bit of carpet. Now all I need to do is give this a firm pull and it will go back down. And now at 5'10", I can make my way into the back. There is a grab handle in all 4 corners, which makes this very easy. You can use this rock slider if you need a little bit better access as a step. And then behind both front seats, there is a storage pocket. These are even heated seats too. There's air vents along with auxiliaries, so you can charge electronics. 2 cup holders right in the middle. And then in between the seats is the armrest along with 2 cup holders and a little bit of storage if you need to use that. This does have the sliding rear glass, so you can open and close that as needed. Definitely a lot of room for full-size adults. With the front seat set at my height, I have plenty of room for my feet and my legs, and I have around 3 or 4 inches above my head. So you could be taller than me. The roofline actually dips up, so that gives you plenty of headroom. This even has the full Alcantara headliner, which is pretty cool to see in a truck like this. And as we make our way to the front seats now, the door panels finish off just like the front. This button here locks and unlocks the vehicle, and when you lock it, the side mirrors will automatically fold in. So those are power operated. I love how close they get to the truck. Definitely gives you that extra clearance if you need it. And then for the front door panel, we have the addition of all the window controls, side mirror adjustments, even all the memory seating adjustments, lock and unlock. A little bit larger of a speaker and about the same amount of storage in the lower section. And making our way to these front seats, the AT4X badge is right in the middle. Same design with the red stitching running down the middle. Now these are automatic seats and they are also massaging. So that button is down the back section. You'll see AT4X along with GMC down on the floor. And we have that grab handle, making it very easy to jump up into this front seat, where we can move onto the steering wheel now. It's completely covered in black leather. There's even some dark red stitching running along the inside. Now on this left side is all of the cruise and adaptive cruise control settings along with the heated steering wheel. On this right side is Bluetooth and voice commands, and all of these will control the digital gauge cluster, which we'll come back to. This model even has steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, and then underneath each one we have volume controls and then tuning over on that right side. So it's a really nice design, but let's bring the Sierra back to life. With my foot on the brake, that massive brushed aluminum button is over on this right side, and we can fire this up. And looking at this digital gauge cluster, on the left side is the miles per hour, on the right side is the tach. Currently it's showing the miles per hour right in the middle, and that is configurable like I mentioned. So we're going to be using this rotary dial. If I scroll down, now we can look at drive summary. I can also look at the trip information, so there's trip 1 and trip 2. There's a timer to look at, the TPMS. You can look at the driver assistance when you have that on and running. And then there's a few more vitals to look at just depending on what you'd like to see. There's even a blank page if you don't want to have anything visible. I can scroll over to music, look at the compass along with the phone when that is paired. And then the last one, you can actually go through the display layout. So currently it's on classic. If I go into progressive, you'll see the entire gauge cluster change slightly. There's also digital. So if I go down to this one, it will change one more time. And then for a clean, everything pretty much disappears, minus miles per hour right in the middle, and then we have the display layout over on this right side. If I go back, you can actually control the left side and the right side with what you'd like to see, just depending on the information that you feel is most important. You can control the lower gauge setup too, even go into the speed warning, the heads-up display, and monitor all of this information. And then as we move over to the left side of the steering wheel, there's the electronic parking brake along with the four-wheel drive selector. Right in the middle is the different driving modes. So there's off-road, there's also normal, and the last one is terrain. So you can adjust that depending on what you need. There's the trailering system right in the middle. On this right side is the headlight and fog light adjustments, along with the bed cargo light and dimmer switches for the gauges. There's one air vent, all the heads-up display controls as well. You may or may not be able to see it right now, but currently it's showing miles per hour. If I click on the info button, now we can look at the adaptive cruise. You can pull up the compass, even look at the pitch and roll and the degrees for the steering wheel, and then we're back to just the miles per hour. So that is great to have too. And then right in the middle is the all-new 13.4-inch touchscreen system. There's a lot more info that you can go through. On this left side here, these are all presets and they are configurable just depending on what you'd like to have. So currently with this setup, there's the trailering system. So when you have that on, you can monitor cameras, go through your checklist. Underneath that, I can go to the phone. So when you have that paired, you can go through all that info. I can even pull up the Google Maps. Very nice system to have. I love the graphics for this navigation system. This icon here is for the climate, so you can go through all of that, sync everything, adjust the temperature, fan speed is right in the middle, and then where you'd like the air to go. And the last one is home, so you can go through these icons. This has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can go through the camera system as well. So just by pushing on that, the top-down view is currently on that left side. With the forward-facing camera on the right side, we can go to the rear-facing camera. There's also a top-down view. Using these side mirrors, you can actually look at your wheels. So when we were taking the ZR2 off-road, we were easily able to see where rocks were or any other items. Same with the rear tires as well. There's also a look down at the hitch, so when you're backing up, you can easily do that yourself. And then we have the bed camera, so you can monitor all of that cargo. So it's great to have all of that. There's a few more icons. Over on that right side, as you've been able to tell, this is a split screen. So currently it's showing the clock. We can go into the trailering system, look at the music, even pull up the navigation. So I love that split style to it. The power and volume knob is over on this left side. There's even a shortcut to the home dial too. And then you can also go through all of the massaging functions by using the controls on the seat that I mentioned earlier. Now, what I have found is that this is not a touchscreen system to go through this info. So if I try to go to need or wave, it tells you to use the controller. Personally, I think this should be a touchscreen system. It makes it a lot easier to go through all these settings. I have found it a little confusing to use these knobs in order to go through everything. So it does take a little bit of time just to get used to this. It would be nice to see this as a touchscreen system, but there are so many different features to get you comfortable and relaxed while you're driving this. And then below that, there's a nice trim piece wrapping all of this piano black. There's the engine start stop button, as you already saw. And then this even has heated and ventilated seats. All of the AC controls are right in the middle. This has a dual zone climate system, so driver and passenger can adjust their temperatures along with the fan speed and where you like the air to go. And then just underneath that is a row of toggles. We have the lane keeping assist, parking sensors, the engine start stop feature. You can even open up the tailgate if you need to. There's the hazards, traction control, the downhill assist control. This even has a rear and front locker. So if you need to use those are quickly accessible. Below that is a little bit of storage where you could place your phone or other items. You can even charge them too if you need to. There's 2 cup holders and a little bit of space where you could place your phone or other smaller items. And then for this leather wrapped gear shifter, the release is on this left side. If I push this forwards, the backup camera will appear. I can go all the way down into drive where you'll see the forward facing camera appear. And if I just click on this one more time without using that release, that puts it into the manual settings. So that way you can shift using these paddle shifters. So if you are towing, taking this off-road, you can utilize that as needed. And then park is just next to that. This truck also has the trailer braking system, so you can use that as needed. And then for the center armrest, there is a small cutout where you can place your phone or other items. And if I open this up, you can see more access to the wireless charging port. So you can use that with the center console closed, but you can get a little bit better access with it opened. And then in the center console, there's this removable tray and a lot of storage along with some auxiliaries. You can definitely fit a lot of items in the middle if you need to. along with the 2 glove boxes. So the upper one is accessible just by pushing on this button, and you have a little bit of storage where you could place some smaller items. And then this also has the regular glove box where you can fit in all of that information. We'll take one last look at this interior. And as I mentioned earlier, this does have a sunroof. It is manual adjusting for the sunshade. This has the Alcantara headliner, like I mentioned earlier. Right in the middle is all the sunroof adjustments, as well as the rear glass, which you can slide open and closed. Makes it very nice to have. And then the dome lights are on both sides, along with some call and help buttons. And right in the middle is the digital camera for the rear view mirror. So if I flip this down, this is the normal view that you would have. And when you flip that up, you have the camera system. This is adjustable height-wise. You can also zoom in and zoom out. Definitely gives you a lot better visibility. As we get behind the wheel now for this all-new GMC Sierra AT4X, I actually had the Silverado ZR2 for a full week before I got this truck. So I'm driving both of those back to back. So I have a lot of seat time with this full-size truck. Obviously, that is the Chevrolet version versus the GMC version here. I'm also going to be making a comparison video between both of those trucks. So if you'd like to see the differences between them and some of the similarities, check out that video as well. But what I love about this Sierra is it's a little bit more luxurious feeling than the Chevrolet version. We have the full Alcantara headliner and a little bit more leather in some areas that you don't see in the Silverado. So really it just depends on which truck you like better, but definitely check out that comparison video to get all of the further details. This has a 2-inch lift like I mentioned earlier, and we actually took the ZR2 off-road. So having a full-size truck off-road, I'm sure this will be just as capable as the ZR2. It has the same suspension. If you want to check out that off-roading video, check out that video. We're not taking this particular truck off-road, but we had the ZR2 and the dirt, and it was a lot of fun. So this is a very capable truck, both on-road and off-road. And what I love, I've been driving this around a few days just to get more familiar with this truck. It's a really smooth driving truck. I love the suspension, both on-road and off-road. It does very well, but the capabilities of this full-size truck are very adequate. You can put a lot in the bed, you can tow with this. This is a great full-size truck if you need the space. And while I've had this truck, I've been doing a lot of house projects. I had the bed full of some plywood. I was even able to fit 2 8-foot 2x4s from the passenger footwell up to the back. Since I didn't have room in the bed for them because it was so full, I actually fit 8-footers inside with all the windows closed. Very capable. I can't do that in my Tacoma, which is obviously a lot smaller than this, but it was pretty versatile to be able to use the inside of the cab while I had the bed full. And as we get onto the on-ramp now, definitely plenty of power with an empty truck here to get up to emerging speeds. And as far as visibility goes, every pickup truck is really the same, so I don't have any issues with visibility. And as we switch over to the POV angle now, you can see what it's like to be behind the wheel of this Sierra AT4X. One thing that I do love is that digital camera for the rear view mirror. It's definitely very helpful. As you can see, that full-size SUV, if I flip this over, it's a little bit harder, especially with the headrest and that split window. So that is a great feature along with that 3D camera system. But from this view here, I love the new updates. Everything is in a great spot too. There's not a whole lot of buttons. Everything is kind of laid out very nicely, so it's easy to go through all this info along with everything on that left side, as you've already seen earlier in this video. And just cruising out on the highway, super comfortable like I mentioned, very easy to start the adaptive cruise. I will say I do wish it had more of the steering intervention. We have the lane keeping assist, which you can turn on and off, but if you get to one side or the other, obviously that'll just put you back in the lane, but it's not the true driving assistance. So if you're going around a slight curve, it's not going to do the turn for you. It's just going to kind of get you back into place. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for this walk around review and test drive behind the wheel of this 2022 GMC Sierra AT4X. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.